Hi, this is Bill Cecil, and welcome to episode number 4 of the Best Year Ever or Bust podcast series, which is designed to help uplift, motivate, and empower teachers like you to make this your best year ever by helping your students make it their best year ever, despite any and all challenges that you may or that you will encounter. I mean, let's face it, education is a very challenging profession, yet probably nothing more rewarding than being a teacher as well. My hope is to help you minimize and maybe eliminate some of those challenges, but regardless of any challenges that you are going to face, you're going to take them on with a 100% all-in attitude of, you know what, nothing is going to stop me from helping my students have their best year ever, because I'm on a mission to have my best year ever as well. Also, what I hope to do with this podcast series is it's to help you tap into your higher purpose of teaching, because that's what I was able to do during my teaching career, and literally it's what I believe kept me so passionate about what I was doing. Yes, I was on a mission that I loved, but it tapped into my mission of wanting to serve others and to get my kids to believe in themselves. So by helping them have their best year ever, it really tapped into my higher purpose, which really kept my passion alive. And that's what I want for you. I want you to find your higher purpose for teaching. And as you're going about being the hero, teaching the curriculum and getting your kids to hopefully believe in themselves, that if there's more to it than that for you, you'll find it and you'll pursue that, and it will keep your passion going strong. Before I do anything else, I want to thank you guys for taking time to listen. I know how busy you are, believe me. 31 years in the career, I know every day is like a sprint, like I've said. So thank you for taking the time. And for those of you that are sharing this out with other educators and teachers, I can't thank you enough for that as well. I'm trying to get word out to as many people as I can about this podcast series. So before I jump into today's episode, what I thought I would do is I would take a minute and I would like to just kind of give you a brief overview of where I'm headed with all this, because I do have a game plan. What I'm trying to do in these first several episodes, and I would say this is probably the halfway point of that first series of episodes I've planned out in my mind, is that I really want to take time to build a strong foundation for you to have to use the rest of the year while working with your team. And in my book, Best Year Ever, Winning Strategies to Thrive in Today's Classroom, which is on my website, bestyearever.net, I focus on something called setting the table for success. And again, that is where I'm trying to give you 4 strategies to help you build a strong foundation to set the table for success for the rest of the year, to build everything else on, including teaching the curriculum and doing everything else you have to do, but also the higher purpose things that you want to do as well. And so that's what I'm focusing on these first 4 episodes. So if you go back in your memory, or if you haven't listened to the first episodes, maybe you can go back and listen real quickly. But in episode 1, it was simply, I wanted you to think of yourself as a leader with a team to lead, and as a leader to have a grand vision that you can enlist your students to buy into that vision, and then to provide them with a doable plan. And then in episode 2, we talked about the importance of changing that grand vision into a shared vision. So everybody on your team is going in the same direction at the same time to try to make it happen. And so it's going to buy more engagement, hopefully going to provide you with more time to teach and your kids more time to learn and to hit the targets that you're aiming for. And then in episode 3, last time, we started talking about the power of team, providing your students with a place where they feel like they belong to something larger than themselves. They're a part of a shared mission to make it their best year ever, or something equally as exciting that you're going to come up with, but that definitely they're all coming in every day, excited to come in, wanting to be there because they want to be a part of that something larger than themselves, that sense of belonging, and working together, moving forward towards something. So today, episode 4, really is just an extension of that. You want to have your team to tap into some power, the power of team, but you got to first have a team. You can't assume that because these kids come to you, they're automatically a team. They're really just a group of individuals coming into your room. Some of the kids might know each other and consider themselves like little team, or, they've known each other, they feel close enough and they feel comfortable. But really, you've got a group of individuals coming in, and your first job is going to be to grab their attention with your vision. But as you're doing that, to also start building the team. So today's about taking time to actually build the team. And if you think about it, in the last episode, I started off with the Ethiopian proverb that said, when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. And I just love that proverb. And it reminded me this morning, as I was kind of reviewing my notes from last time, when I saw that, immediately thought of a cartoon from The Far Side by Gary Larson. I'm a big Far Side fan, and I have quite a few favorites, but this is one of the favorite cartoons I want to describe to you right now. And in this cartoon, you have a slide, a picture of a child's slide. At the bottom of the slide, there's a spider web, a sad-looking spider web going across the bottom where the kids would come sliding through if they were going to go down. And there's two little spiders standing next to the web on the railing, and they're looking at what they've just built. And one spider says to the other, "If we pull this off, we'll eat like kings." If we pull this off, we'll eat like kings. I love their vision. They're excited about it. Obviously, they built their web. But the sad part is it's only two spiders, and the web looks sad. And obviously, it's not going to stop anybody. But in their minds, they're hoping. But my point is that to me reminds me of a lot of classrooms. You don't have everybody on the same page. You don't have anybody on the same mission, a large group working in the same direction. You have a few players like these two spiders, maybe they have their own vision, but not everybody's going together towards something. And so that's the importance of, you want to have that vision where everybody's working together to really create something big. And so it made me start thinking about how, team is one of the most misused words in our society. We use it a lot, but we kind of misuse it, in my opinion. I see it all the time for businesses. They use the word team. Maybe they think because it will lure you into either being a part of their team for a brief time when you go in to buy something. Like I've seen signs that said, come to buy your next car at Team Chevy, or join the McDonald's winning team and earn $14 an hour or something like that. But my point is that I see these signs everywhere. It's not just Chevy or McDonald's. I'm not pointing fingers at them or putting them down, because I think their intention is right. They want to build a sense of team, but nobody ever takes the time to build a team. It's like teachers going in and immediately teaching to the curriculum and don't take time to set the table for success. So what I'm trying to do is get you to start thinking about that. And schools do this too. This is where I worry about it, because it's related to what we do for a living. I know because for many years I told you I went in without a clear vision. I just thought I'm going in to teach the curriculum as well as I can. As a young teacher, that was my goal, and that was a good goal. That's important. That's what they're paying me to do, and that's what parents and students, they're all expecting me, my administrators expecting me to do, and to do well. But as I got more into it, I realized there's more to it than that. And as I go around visiting other schools, I hear the term team thrown around. For example, sometimes I'll have building administrators come up to me, or a district administrator, and they'll say, "Hey, I heard you're talking about team today. I'm really excited about that because I think we're a really good team here at such and such school." And I get excited about that. And I'll say, well, what makes you a team? I love to hear this. And they'd say, "Oh, well, because on Fridays, if you can tell, we all wear our school colors because, we're showing support for our school teams." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really nice. That's exciting." But inside I'm thinking that's more team spirit than really team, because I don't know if everybody in your district feels they're on the same mission going forward. They're all bought into a shared vision, a grand vision that you created, and they're all moving in the same direction. So I'm not sure about that. Also, teachers. I have teachers come up to me quite a bit and say, "Oh, my teaching partner and I, we're teammates. We're a team. Like we heard you just talk about. We just want you to know we're a team." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great. Tell me about it. What makes you a team?" "Well, I teach the math and the science, and he teaches the social studies and the language arts. So, we're a team." And I'm like, "No, that's great." But again, inside I'm thinking, well, you're smart. You divvied up the curriculum so you can both dive into certain parts and really dig deeper and to be able to be better prepared for your students. I think that's awesome. That's really important. I'm glad you're doing that. But that doesn't necessarily make you a team either, because your students in both rooms, when they're working with you or working together, they may not all be on the same page, and they may not be on the same page in each room because they don't know what you're each after or what target you're aiming for. And so maybe there's not that collective mission or vision that both teams are working for. So my point is this: you can't throw a bunch of people together and call them a team and realistically expect them to start automatically functioning as a team, let alone a winning team. You can't do it, and yet we do it all the time. I mean, if you think about it, that makes about as much sense as a carpenter throwing a bunch of lumber in a pile and calling it a building, and looking at it and going, "That's a building because I call it a building. It's a building. It functions as a building. That pile of wood is a building." You'd be looking at them like, "You're crazy. That's a pile of wood. What are you talking about?" And so that's the problem we have, is that too often we're in such a rush to serve the meal, we don't take time to actually invest the time to build that, for example, that lumber into a building, or to build our individuals into a group moving together in the same direction. I know this happens all the time. For example, How many times? Well, first off, let me back up and say it. The reason why I think this is so important is because you have to have something that pulls people together to make it work. And that's why you have to take time to build your team. Because if individuals just come into your room, it's not just magically going to happen. And the reason I know this is because I believe that adults and kids tend to be wall-building nesters. What, wall-building nesters? You're probably thinking, what's this guy talking about? No, but hear me out. I bet you, as a student, if you're a college student listening to this, maybe getting ready for your student teaching, or you're in your student teaching, but you still go to your college group meetings where you get together and gather and talk about your student teaching. I bet you sit by the same people every time you go, or near the same people, or in the same spots even next to the same people. And you don't even have a seating chart. I bet that's true. I bet many of you teachers out there, and I know, remember, I was in a classroom for 31 years, so I've been in the schools for a long time. I bet at staff meetings, you all sit in the same spots or near the same spots or with the same people without being forced to do so. I bet in the lunchroom, when you go to have lunch, you tend to sit by the same people in the same spots. In my old building, we used to have the same parking spaces, and we didn't have our names on them. We just assumed that's their parking space. So we tend to be territorial. It's because we're wall-building nesters. We all like to build nests that we feel safe in. We get comfortable. We're around the same people. We're around this is my comfort zone. And then we build walls around them like silos to keep everything else out. So this is our safe spots. These are the safe people. I mean, God forbid you ever went to a conference, a district conference, or a PD session, or a large conference off-site, and you're going with colleagues, you're going to meet them there, and you get there first, and you have the uncomfortable task of saving seats. Next thing you know, you're like laying down your purse, your backpack, you're taking off a sweater or a jacket and laying it on another seat, or you yourself are kind of laying on seats or hogging seats going, it's like you're laying across them going, saved, these are saved for my people. No offense to you people, but these are saved for my people, saved. Please back off, saved for my people, saved. And the whole time you're looking at the door going, please get here. You're thinking about your friends, get here. And then you see them and you're like, oh, I'm over here, get over here, quick. And they sit down, you're like, oh, now I can breathe again. Okay, I'm in my nest. I've got my wall around me. Okay, I'm good. We're ready to go. We do this. I do this. And you know what? So do kids. How do I know? Because I never had a seating chart the first day of school in my classroom. It was the only day of the year I didn't have a seating chart. I'd let them come in and sit wherever they wanted because we had 4 feeder schools come into our 5-6 building, our intermediate building. And so we had 4 feeder schools, and I knew that they were probably going to come in and sit by kids they knew. Just by nature, you just could see it happen year after year after year. But I never understood how they did this. So I watched one time as I was out in the hallway, because this usually was, I was in the hallway on the first day, helping kids find their room or finding my room or making sure their lockers were secure and, helping them up. But I kept peeking in the room to see what was going on, because it's the only day you can do this where they're in there quiet because they're nervous and they're sitting down, and they're all sitting down. But I was watching kids, they're sitting looking at the door, and when they saw a kid walk in, I don't know if they knew him or not, but they're waving him over, get over here, sit at this table, we're sitting at this table. And so midway in the morning, at some point I'd always say, okay, so where are my East kids, or I'm sorry, my Winans kids? That was one of the elementaries, and all the hands would go up at the same table, at the same couple tables. I'd say, where are my Colt kids? Same thing, at another table. Where are my View kids? At another table. I did this for all 4 schools, and every time the hands would always go up. They were all sitting magically by each other, it seemed. It's because they wanted to be sitting next to people they felt comfortable with, that they had considered in their nest from previous years. So they're like, get in this nest. We're going to build a wall around this nest. And if I let that happen throughout the school year, we would never become a team. So by letting them pick it the first day, then what I would do is let them be comfortable because they're in their nest. They feel like they're safe. I want them to feel that way. But by day 2, they're going to be out of their nest, and they're going to be moving around, getting to know new people. We're going to start tearing down those walls and getting them out of their nest, because that's the only way I can start building a winning team in my classroom. And I have to do that immediately so it doesn't start to grow roots, them in their nest, and they never want to move. All right? And so what I do is I use team building icebreakers to get started. Games or icebreakers. I call them icebreakers because high school teachers sometimes say, we don't have time to play games. We're so busy. What are you talking about? We have to start teaching the curriculum, and you want us to play games? Icebreakers. This is what corporate trainers use. When corporate trainers go into businesses with adults, they go in and the first thing they do is they know they have to have some kind of icebreaker to get them up out of their seats, moving around, interacting with everybody, not just their close friends and their colleagues, so that they can finally get to a place where they feel safe enough to open up. And then when the meeting actually starts for talking about the important stuff, the changes that need to be made, or the ideas they want to bounce around, or whatever it is, they got to get them to a place where they feel more comfortable to share. And so what they do is they get them up first out of their comfort zone. And what's funny is that I've sat in these meetings where I've been there and they make us get up. And this is through my time as a teacher. I go to a PD session and they make us all get up and move around. And I'm like, oh, this makes me so uncomfortable. I'm so nervous. And I'm the one who's telling you to do it right now. And I've known how important it is. And I make my kids do it every year. I still get nervous. So I get that. But it's important because what happens is when I do that in my classroom on the very first morning, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find time, 20 minutes somewhere in the morning to start tearing down those walls and build trust before they go out to lunch and lunch recess. So maybe they'll start to build new relationships. So what I'll do, and I'll take 20 minutes in the morning, we'll go out and we'll play a quick game where I get them interacting with each other and they have to move around quickly and then make quick decisions if they're going to win the activity or win the game. And nobody individually can win in the games I set up. It has to be like teams. Small teams can win, or you can win with another partner if you find a partner, but the partner always keeps changing. So you're never with one person. You don't have time to keep working with the same people because you got to grab somebody quicker. You're going to be out. In fact, I have a game in my playbook, The Best Year Ever, Winning Strategies to Thrive in Today's Classroom book, called Numbers. And it's a great game. And it's about having to go out and become a small group of people. And you want to end up being the last two people in the game. But it's like musical chairs, but with people. And you got to grab whoever's available to stay in the game as long as you can. And while they're doing that, they're getting to know each other. They're grabbing each other's arms because they have to be physically holding onto each other's arms to be a group, or their hands, something physical on their arms or their hands to be considered a group of whatever to stay in the game. But what that does is all of a sudden I see groups that were so quiet. Now they're out there laughing, they're running around playing. And then when they go to lunch a few minutes later, I see them at recess, I'll check in on them. They seem like they're still out there talking more, they're playing more, they're starting to get to know each other more. So I got them out of their nest and started tearing down walls. So games and icebreakers are super, super important to help get rid of cooties and cliques on your team at any level, and that includes adults as well. I mean, like I said, I've been to adult meetings where all they did for the icebreaker was they said, let's go around in a circle and everybody say their name and what building you work at and how many years you've been in the district. Great. Okay, we've done an icebreaker activity. Now let's get into the meeting. And then they wonder why people aren't sharing as often or very much, or more people are being guarded, or some people are being silent, or people are getting up and leaving as soon as they can, or during breaks there's not a lot of conversation. There was no effort made to force them out of their nest and to do something fun to take their mind off it. So games and icebreakers are not just a great way to get rid of cooties and cliques, but it's a fun way to get rid of cooties and cliques, even for the people that are hesitant going into it, let's say, like I am, and I even know how important it is to do. I still feel that anxiety until I'm actually doing it, and then I feel great. I'm glad we did it. So that's why I feel comfortable telling you, if you feel uncomfortable to do it, please do it, because it's important, especially in your classroom. Another reason why I do icebreakers really early on in the year, though, is that games model the way I run my room. I mean, you think about it. Most games have like a structure to them. You have to do this, this, and this in order to go and collect $200. You have to do this, this, and this in order to collect the most pieces and win the game or whatever. But they have a structure to them. And so by me teaching games to my kids, they're learning right away to pay attention and learn that what is the structure? What are the procedures? Really, that's what they are, procedures. And your classroom's going to be full of procedures. We're going to talk about that in the next episode or so. But yeah, procedures. It's going to start teaching them procedures and how to listen so they can do well. And so they're going to start, you're training their ears to start looking for those things. Also, in my room, I want them to know that the games we play are very cooperative. You can't win alone. I don't have games where one person wins it all. It might be a group wins. It might be the whole class wins. If we can collectively do something in a set amount of time, those are my favorite. But it takes cooperation, everybody working together. And again, putting a time limit on it or some kind of speed associated to it. They don't have time to find their people. They got to grab whoever they can because they're so competitive. They just want to win. Even as a team, they're going to find a way to do it. And the big one for me is games are also competitive. You want to win. Now, for me, it's not against each other. I don't like I said, best year ever isn't about being better than anybody else. But in a game, it can be fun when you're trying to beat the clock or you're trying to be the last two, because it's not just you. It's still working with the team until it narrows down to the very end where it has to be two people. But it's so quick. I always say everybody wins. If everybody's saved and you like the game, we can maybe do another round of it. We can do it again this Friday. Maybe you can earn it and we can earn it again. But the point is, it is competitive. Or my teams like to compete against, like I said, time, but they also like to compete against former teams. What was their best time, or what was the best they ever did? How many did they get when they played the game? Well, I wrote those down. Let me look at the stats. Oh, you guys are number one. That's amazing. Or you came in third. That's pretty good. We're going to play the game later this year. Maybe you can beat it. Who knows? So they're thinking about that. But games are competitive, and that's okay if it's handled the right way. Now, if it's a school competition, for example, I don't compete against my school about who's the best unless there's a pizza involved in the class that collects the most cans for a can drive. Yeah, we're going to be competitive and we want to get that free pizza, so we're going to go for it. But even then, it's not in your face. It's just we're trying to win the pizza. But other than that, competition competition is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Kids like to keep score. So give them things that can keep score without hurting or putting others down in your classroom when you're first trying to build it, for sure. Really throughout the year, but for sure at the beginning. Fun with a purpose. This is the big one. Highlights Magazine's mission statement in the doctor's office. As a kid, I remember going into the doctor's office and there was Highlight Magazine's mission statements. And I love that. And on the cover, it had their purpose, their mission. It was fun with a purpose. You're supposed to have fun while you're learning. And that really is what my motto is in my classroom. Why can't you have fun while you're working to make it your best year ever? Why not? You should enjoy that. Come to work every day going, I'm going to make this my best year ever. This is going to be a fun day. And why can't working hard be a fun thing when you're working together with others? I mean, when I was on teams, we worked extremely hard. We were going out to win every game. We worked extremely hard all week in practice, all summer, even in the off season, we were working hard. But we were working with a purpose, a mission we believed in, which made it fun. And the fun is what fueled the tank. It wasn't what made us winners. It's what fueled the tank and kept us going. It's the hard work that makes us win in the end, and gets the work done, gets something accomplished. But it's the fun that keeps it going. I know that when I'm with groups of people, even adult groups, and I'm having fun, I stay longer. I put more of myself into it. If it's a group that isn't any fun at all, we just sit there, I'm the first one. Get up, it's time to go. Bye-bye. Have a good week. See you. Bye. I'm out the door because it's not fun. I want to get out of there. I don't want my kids to come to school with that idea. So why can't it be fun fuels the tank, but hard work's the engine that will drive us to successes, like I always tell my students, Yes, we're going to have fun, but we're here on a mission to get something done, and that's going to take hard work, but the fun will keep us going. So we're going to find ways to add fun, just like we add gas into our car throughout, trips. We don't do it all the time, all day long, but we find time to add it in. I use games the first 2 or 3 times the first week of school. Just 2 or 3 times. It's not like I'm playing with my kids all day. I got to teach the curriculum. I understand that. I was under a lot of pressure. I get that. But what I would do is I would take time the first 2 or 3 days, and I would actually find 20 minutes, for example, maybe once in the morning on the first day, once again in the afternoon, possibly if I felt we got a lot done and it's, they're restless because they haven't been sitting that long all summer long. Or I might do one the first day, one the second day, and then one on the last day of the first week of school. But by then they have to earn it. I'll say, hey, you guys like that game? Maybe this Friday we could go out and play it again, but you got to earn it. It's like getting kids to eat their vegetables. Like now they're working to earn the vegetables. It's crazy. It sounds crazy, but that's what it is, because the games, really, they enjoy them, but they're a win-win for me because it helps them, but it helps me start to build the structure and to build the team, the foundation. And so they're working hard thinking they're getting something fun, and they are, but it's really helping me to break down the walls and to get them out of their nest and to start building our team. So I hope you'll consider some of these. There's some great resources. By the way, I'm sorry, one other thing I want to say. I use games the first 2 or 3 weeks, like I said, but then I use them like a 3,000-mile oil change. Like your car, preventative maintenance. I don't wait for the engine light to come on and the engine to fall out of the car and then say, I should probably do another team building game. The team fell apart. So every once in a while, I'll say, you guys want to earn another game this week? Let's do this. And again, it's something they have to earn, so I'm using it to my advantage, but it's also to the team's advantage, and they're going to win too in the end if they get it. So I might do it every so often as like a Friday afternoon incentive they can earn by if we do something all week. I don't have to keep repeating myself, or we're all on time, and I don't have to wait for everybody to come in late from recess or whatever. You can set something up to your advantage to help the team, but also give them something to work for by also earning that team activity, team icebreaker, that's going to also help build the team. I do it after long breaks, like after they've been gone for spring break or Christmas break, winter break, whatever you call it, because, they haven't been together. So you want to get them back again to refocus on being a team again. So that first morning back, we'll find time sometime that morning or that afternoon to do an activity again to kind of get them to knock the rust off or knock the dust off so they can come back and be focused again on being a team. Anytime I do a new seating chart, which was about every marking period, it's a great time because now you're forcing them into new nests and they're uncomfortable. So I would start doing things in small groups as team building activities against other teams, or we do a large team building activity. So you just play it by ear. But definitely, anytime we got a new student was a big time, or even a new student teacher or somebody, a new aide coming in the room. Because again, it changes the dynamics. Anybody comes into your room, it changes your team's dynamics. We oftentimes just skip over that and say, welcome, this is so-and-so, this is Jimmy, treat him well, everybody. Okay, let's get back to work. And poor Jimmy's feeling isolated, and everybody's watching Jimmy thinking, what's he all about? Is he going to try to be, taking over our spot? And so it messes with the chemistry you have. So you have to rebuild that chemistry by getting them focused on your goals, your shared mission, helping this person get up to speed as fast as possible so they don't disrupt the team, but they're moving towards a target with all of you. So that's really, really important. So really quickly, so my book has some ideas on how to build your team, not just with games and icebreakers, but actually activities, things you can do to help build the team throughout the year. Tribes, oh my gosh. Jeannie Gibbs, you got to get this book. It's one of the best books out there, I think, for building teams and just building a sense of community and tribe. It's really cool. It's one of those books that doesn't age. Same with anything by Spencer Kagan, cooperative learning books. That is gold. Oh my gosh, how many times you can get your kids working together in teams on curriculum-related activities. That is so huge, and that was a big part of my teaching, which I talk about in my book a little bit more. Even how we deal with conflict resolutions, you can read about that in my book, but it's from Spencer Kagan, and I give him credit. Just an amazing series of books. Corporate training books for you high school teachers. These are books written by corporate trainers in the business world that are using these activities. You can use them at any level. I can bring them down to work in my fifth grade classroom, but you know they can work with high school kids if they can work with adults. And my favorite are the theater books because they have so much to do about building ensemble, which is building an environment where people feel safe taking huge risks so they can perform better and act better. So these games are designed to build team, and they're fun and they're quick activities, and you can find them in any theater section in a bookstore. So there are many other things you can do to help your team in your classroom, but I thought that this is a good start. The last thing I want to say is, speaking of theater books, I had the really cool time of going to a professional theater and to help this director work with his new company of professional actors. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be kind of intense. So I was nervous. And they wanted me to come in and do team building because they felt that it was important that their team kind of grow together. And they thought I'd be a great way to kick off their full day session to do some team building with them, with some of my activities. So I was flattered. I went in, and before I could even start, he says, but first, I'm going to do a team building activity that we do here for you. You're going to participate because you're new to our group, and we want everybody to feel comfortable with you. And I'm like, I like this guy already. He knows that I'm messing with the chemistry, so he's going to make me do this. So we did it. It was the most fun game I've ever done. It's called Tape Ball. And I have the directions. I'm going to post those on my website, bestyearever.net, on the resources page. Anyway, so after we played the game, I was at lunch with the director. My work was done. He wanted to take me out to lunch, and we're talking, and I said, that was so cool. You know, I appreciate you teaching me that game. And he goes, well, Bill, you know, like I said, I wanted to make sure you felt comfortable, but I wanted my team to feel comfortable with you because you got to understand, in my line of work, I'm working with professional actors. We have to put on a show, and our show, people pay for these tickets, a great deal of money because these are professional actors, and I have to pay my actors. And if we don't make money, we lose money, I'm going to lose my job. And so I've got to come in real quickly and create an environment where my actors feel really safe to come in and make huge choices because we have a very short rehearsal window where they're going to be up to speed by the time we open. I can't have actors come in and feel guarded, and they come in and they make little choices because they don't feel comfortable until they feel comfortable eventually, and hopefully by opening night they're ready. But that's a risk. So I have to get them to come in so big that they're willing to take big risks. And as he said that, I thought, that's exactly what happens in my classroom. This is what I'm trying to do in my classroom. I'm trying to create a positive, safe learning environment where everybody feels safe. They're out of their nest and they feel like it's okay. They feel connected and they're working together and taking bigger risks in their own learning so they can succeed and grow in ways maybe they never could in the past. Like the kids that struggled like I did, I'm like, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. So it reinforced the whole principle of what I've been doing, which is you definitely want to take time to build your team. So I hope you'll do the same. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast series. It means a lot to me. And I just want to thank you again for being the heroes you are. It's just amazing the work you do every day. I miss it. I hope you can hear that in my voice. I just love teaching so much. And I just wish you the best. And this is why I'm doing this. I just think the world of all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And please go to my website if you want the tape ball resource. And check out my playbook on my website when you're there. Because it really does have so much of the plays that I use in my classroom to make these things happen. But until next time, I really hope that you'll take time and just remember, best year ever. You have the power to make it happen.